Vanderbilt has the need for speed.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy part of your day. Shout out to the everydayers. On today's episode, we look at a quality that Vanderbilt did not have a ton of last season: speed. Speed is something that sets the SEC apart from other leagues, especially in the trenches. And Vanderbilt is building that in their roster all around. How would they use that speed? How will they take advantage of it at every level in all three phases of the game? We're going to discuss that more in depth. There's going to possibly be a Travis Hunter type player, like a two-way player. How much is that player? How much is Martell Height going to contribute actually on offense as his primary position as corner? We're going to look at the wide receiver group. It's a very interesting group coming in. And of course, the speed in the trenches is something that I think sets the SEC apart from all other conferences. And we're going to take a look at all of that. It's going to be a speedy episode for the Locked On Vandy podcast. So like I said, thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And this episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money so you don't lose your money fast. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off of your first year. Wow, that's incredible. So, like I said, Vanderbilt has the need for speed. And so when you look at this team, like one of the things that I didn't mention that needed improvement just from last year to this year, I think a reason why they went 7-6 and not possibly 9-3 or 9-4 or 10-3 or whatever. I think there was a couple of games that were lost because I think the overall team speed just wasn't quite where it needed to be. They had some fast guys, they had some speedy guys, but it just wasn't quite where it needed to be. And so coming into this year, I think the goal was to improve that overall team speed, whether it's some guys that had good speed, getting them to have great speed, or just recruiting some true extremely fast guys. And I think that, a lot of that has happened. I think they've gotten a lot more athletic, a lot faster on the offensive line and on the defensive line as well, on the edges, at corner, at safety. Their linebackers already had that speed. I think those are guys that are in the weight room improving that speed as we speak. So I think it's a lot more. I think the gist of it is it's a lot more team speed overall than it was a year ago. So, the fact that Vanderbilt has a legitimate chance at winning 8 regular season games, which would be a tall order looking at that schedule, but I just think the speed is there. I think positions that didn't quite have that speed, I think are a lot faster this year. I think some of the guys they brought in do also possess that team speed. So this is going to be an exciting year for that. And I'm curious to see how they're going to utilize that because they have a lot of that on the roster to burn. It's just taking advantage of that and putting that speed in situations that benefit not only the offense, the defense, and special teams. So let's start with the wide receiver room because I think when you look at the receivers last year, I would probably venture to say that this was a group, to me, that probably needed the biggest bump in speed because there wasn't I love Quincy Skinner, but he wasn't going to threaten you vertical. That's not his game. He wasn't going to be a guy that struck fear into opponents because he was going to burn you. He was a guy that was tough, gritty, could make tough contested catches, could go up for a ball in the red zone at the back pylon, could catch a screen and bust 3 tackles. And make some big yardage. He was a guy that DBs feared for other reasons. He was an elite blocker. He was a tough physical guy, right? Junior Sherrill had good speed, but I wouldn't say anybody was scared of him a year ago. That may have changed. There might be some other guys around him that are going to allow him to get matchups to be able to utilize his speed. And hopefully he's a guy that his speed goes from good to great, which I have no reason to believe it won't, given this weight training program or this training program that Vanderbilt's on. I think there's going to be some guys where you come back and go, oh, and just a little bump in speed makes a huge difference too. So when you look at this wide receiver core, you get a new crop of guys in, right? This is how they fixed it. They brought in a new crop of guys. Trent Hudson is a 10-3, 10-4, 100-meter guy, right? He's a fast guy. Caleb Barnett coming in from high school. He's a track guy. He's a 10-3 guy. He is a speed demon, but he's tiny. That's his only thing. He is small, but he can get by you. Trey Richardson also, he's going to burn you, right? He is a speedster. He can flat out get it. Keyshawn Thibodeau, not on campus yet, but like you see the direction that Vanderbilt's going with their recruiting. They're going after more elite speed. That's what stretches the field vertical. That's what plays into their identity, right? Junior Sherrill took advantage of his speed on the interior. That's why I like him on the slot, because he's going to get matched up with nickel corners and safeties. He can beat those guys. He can take advantage of those. He's got great lateral speed. He's got good quickness. He can take advantage of those matchups. So how are they going to use all this speed? You got those guys that I just mentioned. They can run jet sweeps. They can get on the edge. They can do some things vertically that I think will put them in great position to be able to make some really big plays. And let's not forget Tristan Brown and Joseph McVay. Joseph McVay scored a bomber against Missouri, first play from scrimmage on offense. He scores a 65-yard bomb on a post. He can flat go. Now, as a consistent producer, that is something that needs to improve for him, but he's got the speed to absolutely go. He can be that deep threat vertical guy. Trent Hudson also, I think, can be that deep threat vertical guy. I think you have a much more talented, much more a much speedier receiver group, which I think benefits the passing game, because, a lot of why they weren't good in the passing game was receivers weren't getting separation. They weren't running explosive routes. They weren't fast in and out of breaks. So DBs in the SEC, they can recover on that stuff. And when you have a guy that can burst out of a break, it doesn't matter if he's 5'8". It doesn't matter if he's 6'4". If you got a guy that can burst, and if you got a guy that can get in and out of a break, that's what separates receivers. You have to be extremely fast just to be a straight line guy. Just look in the history of the NFL and guys that made that transition from high school to college to NFL. Just look at the traits they possess. Just look at the best receivers. You show me, the list is not very long of guys that can just flat run by you at all three levels, right? That list isn't very long. And it's usually guys that can do a bunch of different things too. Like Randy Moss was probably your only guy that made a career on go balls. He's probably the only guy in the history of football that made a career on go balls. Like Megatron, jump ball, back of the end zone, take a slant to the house. Like he can run away from you, but he's big, he's physical, he's contested catches, he's in and out of breaks. He's a good, great route runner. Not saying Randy Moss isn't, but Randy Moss, if all you judged him on was his go balls, he'd be in the Hall of Fame just on those, right? And there's not very many guys like that. So you have to have things in your repertoire. You have to have route running in your repertoire. And I think to be an elite receiver, I think you have to be able to do that. And there's a lot of guys that make themselves appear faster because they're in and out. The point of all that is saying that elite speed can only take you so far, but you have to be great in and out of breaks. That's acceleration and deceleration. You have to be stellar in and out of those breaks, because if you're not, DBs can catch up. DBs are fast enough. DBs are talented enough. They can catch up with that. And so I think Vanderbilt has guys that, you watch them run routes. They're good in and out of breaks now. I think you have a guy like Junior Sherrill that could run really good crossing routes. You have, Trent Hudson who can snap off a curl and come down the stem and make a catch and create separation. It's all about creating separation. And that's the key to utilizing that speed, that uptick in speed that Vanderbilt has just gotten, being able to take advantage of a guy like Joseph McVay, who has great speed, but doesn't necessarily know how to use it. Raw talent, doesn't necessarily know how to use it, can't make a living on post routes. He's got to be able to do different things if he's going to be a contributor for this offense. And so I'm very excited about this receiving core as a whole. I'm really excited to see who's going to emerge as the playmakers. It's a wide open position, so there's that room got a hell of a lot faster on that. So I'm really excited about what they're bringing to the table there. So we're going to talk more about speed. This is a speed show, and we're going to talk more about it. I'm going to tell you about it. Diego Pavia, I think he enlightened the world on the potential of MK Young. Fast guy, legit, could be a home run threat at the running back position. Well, we're going to talk about that next. Well, guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. I don't know. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rugiet Ready. Rugiet Ready is the next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rugiet is a 3-in-1 formula that dissolves right under your tongue and kicks in fast on average in 15 minutes. That's impressive. Effects can last up to 36 hours, so you stay confident and in control when the moment is right. If traditional options haven't worked, Rugiet might be the answer. Over 150,000 men have already made the switch. I love that it's completely online. Rugiet connects you with a board-certified doctor and ships your treatment discreetly to your door, so no more embarrassing packaging. So you can even read the real customer reviews on their site. It's helping a lot of people feel more confident and present in the moment. So head to Rugiet.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege to get 15% off today. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege and use promo code LockedOnCollege for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, and manufacturing review. Please visit Rugiet website for full safety information. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every single day. If you need a second listen, Chris Gordy, you should check him out. He's Locked On SEC, does a phenomenal job. And if you really want to see how he does that Rugiet ad read, you really should check out his show. It's gonna be classic. Also, if you need another option, Locked On Ole Miss with Stephen Willis. If it ever comes time where you need some Ole Miss perspective, he's the place to go. Locked On Gators with Brandon Olson. Locked On Auburn with Zach Blackerby. They're in a tailspin in recruiting, so that's probably a pretty interesting listen. So anyway, we're plugging right along, man. We're very swiftly getting through the show. So MK Young is a name that's interesting to me on this roster. Diego Pavia made it a point, and I think maybe it's because they were teammates for the Vandy State Aggiedores, but he made it a point on Bussin' with the Boys last week to point out that when they said, is there some secret weapon that we don't know about? And he said, MK Young. And he just said the words, he's just like that. He's like that, right? And that's a high compliment for those that don't speak this generation's language. That's a very, very high praise for a player, for a fellow teammate. He's like that, which means he's the guy. He is him, and teams do not want that smoke. He's elite, right? And he's a guy that if he's healthy, that's the number one thing with him, K. Young. If he is healthy, McKalen is his real name, but he goes by MK. which works out better for me. If he is healthy, if he can keep those hamstrings from popping, he's going to be good. He's going to be a 1B to Cedric Alexander. Alexander is a guy that I was talking about at the top of the show when I was talking about speed, and I'm still talking about speed. MK has elite speed. He's displayed that at New Mexico State or Vandy State. He's displayed his ability to get the edge on a team like Auburn as a true freshman and score a touchdown. He's got great bursts through the line of scrimmage. He sees a run lane. He hits it. He's a guy that can score almost from anywhere. I haven't seen him, and I say that because I haven't seen him score from 80. Doesn't mean he can't do it. I just haven't seen it. So I can't definitively say, yeah, he can score from anywhere. Because at the 6-yard line, at the minus 6-yard line, coming out, shadow of the goalpost, is he going to take it 94 to the house? I think he probably could. I just haven't seen it yet. Like, I haven't gotten hard proof of that yet. So I can't really definitively make that statement, but I feel like he can. And Cedric Alexander's the guy that he's going to rip off a 25, 30-yard run. And that's great for what Vandy wants to do. He's the guy I was talking about at the top of the show that had good speed, hopefully converts to elite or great speed. All right. I'm not sure anybody on this team has elite speed just yet. But going from good to great, I think is going to be something that is that's going to be talked about. So MK Young is a guy that I think is going to be able to hit home runs, and I think they're going to be able to do a lot of stretch, a lot of outside zone, a lot of toss, a lot of screens, a lot of things to MK Young that's going to showcase his speed a little bit. So I'm really excited about that, but I'm more excited the fact that in order to have backs, they're going to get chunk yardage, and AJ Newberry has good possibly to great speed if he can recover well off his knee injury. I think he's going to be somebody that when he comes in halfway through the season at full form, like he's going to still have good speed. He's going to be able to do some things as well. But what I'm really most excited about is this. When you talk about speed in the SEC, hell, everybody's got speed at the skill positions. Everybody's got elite, like Jeremiah Smith, elite speed. Oregon has elite speed. Michigan, Penn State, Clemson has elite speed. But when you really look at the SEC versus the Big Ten, I think what Pavi was trying to get at on that statement, going back full circle to that, is the speed in the trenches. Like I think the big offensive linemen, I think the offensive linemen, especially the offensive linemen, are more athletic. They're faster. They move better. And you're going to see it in the pros. The guy that just got drafted with the Patriots out of LSU, Will Campbell, I think is his name. I forget his name. But like, these guys can move, right? And Vandy just recruited a bunch of guys that can move, right? Isaiah Glass, he's going to be the quick tackle. He can play quick guard, and he's strong enough to play on the strong side. Like he's going to be a guy that has great speed to the next level. That's why he's like you want your tackles to be able to reach those ends, right? Your guards and your center. You need to be able to combo. You need linemen that can block on the second level in this day and age, right? Like you need guys that are quick to the combo that are athletic enough to come off on a linebacker, because these linebackers can go, man. They can flat freaking go. And Vandy's defense has guys that can flat go. And you, as an offensive lineman, you've got to be able to come off of a double team and be able to take a linebacker. And if, like, I loved our offensive line last year, but our center position, we had to move the guy to center because the center was probably, you could probably hide him better as Castillo. But I think having athletic center Jordan White now, NFL caliber speed, I think having him in the lineup now allows you to do more at that position. It allows you more leeway, allows you more, more oomph in your lineup. I think it allows you to block second level defenders better. And I think you're going to have longer runs because of that, because you have more athletic guys up there swallowing up linebackers. You got, I mean, even Bryce Henderson 6'8", 320. Like, you have a monster that can move, right? He's a strong tackle, so he's a devastating down blocker. He's somebody that I think if you have one technique and you're blocking down and his assignment takes him gap down backer, it takes him to the backer, he's athletic enough to be able to block that backer who's going to inevitably be scraping towards him, like on a counter play or a power play or something like that. You have a guard that can wrap up for the play side linebacker and be able to be athletic enough, because the days of like the linebackers coming downhill and meeting you in the hole, those are fewer and far between. Linebackers, like, I think defensive philosophies are putting the down guys into the interior gaps and allowing the linebackers to scrape over the top. They want, defenses want more athletic linebackers. With team overall speed increasing, you want your linebackers to be equally fast. So like your monster 8-gap pluggers they're not in the lineup anymore because they can't do anything else. So in order to have success against those guys, you've got to have linemen that can move well in space. Vandy has 5 guys I feel really good about being able to move in space. So like Jordan White and Chase Mitchell can combo a one up to a linebacker, and I feel like they can execute that. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about what's happening. But what I'm most excited about is the team speed on defense and the fact that Martell Height is going to be a two-way player. He's going to contribute at wide receiver. I'm excited about that. It's the need for speed. It's speed, right? Increasing your team speed. That's the theme of this episode. We're going to talk about defensive speed next. When it comes to speed, I'm amazed at how my money just flies out the window with great speed, right? And I wish that managing money felt easier. With Monarch Money, you can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning your big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat, man. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control of your finances. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. So let's see here. When I look at my categories, when I look at where my money's going, takeout has to be, and I feel like takeout is in this read because of me, but takeout has to be number one on my list. I am a takeout machine. Like my destruction on takeout food it's just incredible. So, if I had Monarch Money, I could know exactly how much I'm spending on that, and I could create some goals. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Man, for a show that talks about speed, it's really lived up to its theme. This show has gone by, it has flown by like a Joseph McVay touchdown. So, talking about team speed, man, as we wrap up the show at Locked On Vandy, thanks for making us your first listen. Thanks for stopping by. As we talk about this speed, this team speed, the need for speed, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the defense, right? Like the defense now they were closer to the middle of the pack in some categories. They were near the bottom in some more specific categories, especially they were dead last and horrendous in third down conversions, giving up third down conversions. But I think, honestly, some of the experience that this defense lost, it makes up for in athleticism and speed, right? I think a lot of the problem was like your two main safeties, CJ Taylor and DeRicky Wright, weren't speed guys. They were run stoppers. Like we had 3 Randon Fontenets, 3 guys that should have played near the line of scrimmage last year. DeRicky Wright, Fontenette, of course, and CJ Taylor. Like those guys all kind of had similar roles, but somebody had to play back deep, right? And Dante Carter wasn't quite ready. He was very raw, made as many mistakes as he did good plays, and he just wasn't consistent enough to play in the lineup probably as much as he wanted to, but he's going to be a big asset this year, as well as Marlon Sewell and CJ Hurd. But I think athletically, I think honestly, and this is no disrespect to Ricky Wright and CJ Taylor, I think the NFL's draft speaks for itself in the fact that the NFL really prioritizes speed. Those two guys didn't get drafted. I'm pretty sure they didn't get invited to a camp either. So it tells you what you need to know. They're tweeners. They don't have the speed to play safety. They don't have the size to play down on the edge or play linebacker or kind of play a hybrid position. And teams didn't want to quite take a chance on creating a position for them. So, but I think when you look at the overall speed of the defense on the back end, you've got two more athletic and still just as physical safeties. Dante Carter, probably more of your coverage guy. CJ Hurd, probably a little bit more of your box guy. And then you have Brandon Fontenette, who is like I said before, is a beast up there near the line of scrimmage. He does a lot of different things. He is the Swiss Army knife. But I think you look at your corners. Obviously, you're more athletic and speedier there. Jalen Lackey's going to be incredible over there on the boundary side. I think you get a really good bump with Jordan Matthews and Martell Height splitting time over there on the field side. But really, like Glenn Seabrooks, for being like 340 pounds, he can move, dude. Like, he's got some feet. He can move. He's fast. He's athletic. He's real sudden. He's got a really good pop, really good burst off the line of scrimmage. He's going to be somebody that I'm really excited about. Newcomer, like, he's not really a newcomer. He played a lot last year, but like, I think he's going to be a name that you're like, didn't see that coming. But if you paid attention to Vandy's defense last year, you probably would see that one coming. Otara, I think, is really good. Corday Sidnor, Zaylon Wood bring a lot of speed to the defensive end position. And if they want to go lightning packages, they can throw those two guys on the interior. They can hold their own down there. Sidnor, you could go like double threes with Wood and Sidnor and bring Coat and Capers down as your 5 techniques. That would be a really good speed package. Langston Patterson, great instincts, plays a lot faster than he probably actually is. But he's somebody that's just there. Longwell, Cowan are guys that are really good. Nick Rinaldi, very sudden, very explosive. Again, stellar instincts too. So not sure exactly if it's just his knowledge of the position, but he's a versatile guy. He can play at a bunch of different spots. So I mean, obviously, he's very gifted athletically, and he can do a lot of things well. And so I'm really excited about the athleticism of this defense. But my last question before we get out of here is, and this remains to be seen because we're not sure exactly what the plan is, or, he could play 0% of the time because these receivers step up like they're supposed to. However, Martell Height got some wide receiver action in the spring. Is that a real thing, or is that just kind of like you got a little bit of a depleted roster? You just want to, you got to get somebody in there catching passes, or, you want to give the illusion that, you're, or is this a legitimate thing? Is he going to play offense? I think he'd be a hell of a receiver. I think he's got some wiggle. He's got some, as a returner, he's electric. As a corner, his transition from pedal to run is really good. He's good with his hands on receivers. He's good with the ball in the air. There's no reason why he couldn't get out there and play some receiver. And I think the defense fears that Coach Kill's going to like him too much on offense and steal him. I don't think it's going to happen. Coach Lee would never let that happen. But I think he's going to be a dangerous weapon. I think there's going to be some packages where he runs the shovel option. He's a triple option guy. He's a jet sweep guy. He's a shot play guy. He might be a double pass guy. I don't know how well he throws the ball. I'm going to let our double passes be Eli Stowers, but he's a sudden guy. He's an electric guy, and he's, I think he's savvy enough and learned enough as a corner, getting, especially on the times that he got beat. Like, I think those are the biggest learning experiences for corners. If you've never been burned at corner, it's because you've never played corner. Like, I've never been burned as a cornerback. I can say that I've never been burnt playing cornerback. You know why? I've never played cornerback. So that's why I haven't been burnt. So there's a lot to learn there, right? Yeah, you get beat, you figure out what beat you. Like when you watch the film, like if you're going to play on both sides of the ball, if you can figure out what gave you trouble, use that. Use that footwork. Incorporate that into your route running. Be elite at route running. That can set you apart right there. There's a guy that ran a 4.7 at the NFL Combine in the 80s. But he made being elite at route running his number one priority, and of course conditioning. And he went on to probably be one of the greatest, if not the greatest, wide receiver of all time. His name is Jerry Rice, if you've never heard of him. But if you look at his 40 time, you're like, what? But that dude's elite, right? So Martell Height, I think, has a chance. I'm not saying he has a chance to be Jerry Rice, but I think he has a chance to kind of figure out that he can be an elite weapon for this team just by specializing in some things and just by being a headache to the opposing team. So I'm really excited about that. But as fun as this episode was, it is fastly come to an end. So we'll see you back here next time. Locked on Vandy. Thanks for listening. Anchor down. Peace out.